Good morning, Jaslyn.
Hi, good morning,
Good
Lynn. How are
morning.
you?
I'm good, good. Yeah.
You got
Uh,
a nice view there. That's a good view.
Thank you. It's my little balcony with my
Yeah.
chiku and my tamarind, some
It's a healing
little
spot, right?
plants.
It's kind of a healing spot.
Yeah, man. It's always nice to be sitting out here watching
Yeah.
squirrels and stuff like that
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm
for a
sure.
change. Right. So let's hop on to our podcast today.
Yeah.
I think it's episode 7 now, right? Or
Yeah, that's quick,
can't
right?
believe it.
I mean,
Yes.
wow. Time has really gone so fast. I remember us just like planning for it, and we are now at episode 6. That's cool.
7, 7.
Yeah, 7. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
nice.
So today we're going to dive into another topic, which is a little bit of a continuation from the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
Why you feel stuck at a crossroad and 3 steps to untangle it.
Right.
So remember the previous one we talked about exposing the empty success,
Yes.
the emptiness
Yeah.
that causes the feeling of emptiness, even when we achieve certain levels and achieve certain things,
Achievements.
yeah,
Yeah.
in our life, in our career, even
Yeah.
when we seem to have a very good family or life, but certain things still feel empty. So today we're gonna dive into a bit of a different angle to it, the uh, crossroad, like when we're at a crossroad and we feel stuck, and how do we disentangle ourselves from that stuckness.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So I think before we start, there's a little announcement that we want to make, and we're feeling quite excited about this
Yeah.
because
Very excited.
this is going to be the first time we're going to host a workshop offline in KL, in Kuala Lumpur slash Petaling Jaya. I mean, we have the venue, but it's to be confirmed, of course, in November, end of November 30th. And it's, of course, going to be around soul contract work, but it's also going to be around helping you accelerate to another level or another phase of your life, whether it's in your career or in your family relationship. Of course, most of us look at life in terms of
Yeah.
external world. But yeah, and how we can use simple tools to actually help us navigate through changes and to accelerate through the stuck phase in our lives where we feel empty or we feel lost or we feel that there's got to be something
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
right? So that's just our little announcement. Jesslyn and I will be hosting probably a very small group for a start, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
um,
I think we also want to do a small group so that we can give the best attention to everyone as well. So
yep.
the minute you see it, please grab it because we're going to have it with a very small group. Hey,
Yeah.
so today let's speak about crossroads, right? Um, I think a lot of times, last week we spoke about that emptiness, true? But
Mm.
along with that emptiness comes a point where we are at crossroads. We're not sure whether we should go forward or stay stagnant. But of course, most of us don't go backwards, but we kind of stay stagnant. We're not able to move forward. And there are many signs that we kind of have, which we don't really identify because, I mean, we are so busy with every day. We are so busy with just, getting things done, working, family, and stuff like that. So at times we don't really notice the signs, right?
Mm. Yep. Actually, in the previous episode, we mentioned about the signs. Like, how do you recognize that you are empty inside, or that achievements or success are not what they seem? And there are signs from the body, from your feelings,
Yeah,
from
yeah.
synchronicities, from external environment that give us clue as to, hey, it's time to pivot, it's time to do something different, it's time to shift from this um, status quo to
Yeah.
something else.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So please. watch our previous one to see what we have to share about the signs of energetic or emotional stuckness
Yeah.
that you may feel. And is there anything else that you want to
Yeah, I
talk
think
about
today we
the
want to
signs?
focus mostly on how do we see this in terms of soul contract?
Mm.
Because I mean the signs we've like mentioned a lot, we spoke about it a lot. But I think what is important is recognizing the signs in terms of something that is really visible. Okay, because I think last week what we spoke about mostly was the signs in our body, you know, in our environment, emotion. But there is something that we can actually use to identify these signs, right?
Mm.
Without guessing about it, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think the soul contract gives us that platform and gives us that opportunity to be able to not guess and to confuse ourselves. Because I think one thing that I've also realized is the more we do that guessing game, right, the
Mm.
deeper we spiral into something that may not even be there, you know?
Mm.
So if we do have this soul contract map, which is laid out in front of us, I think then it gives us more validation than spiraling inside.
Mm.
Right? That's how I look at it.
So
Because
what
I
I'm
can see that.
hearing is that sometimes we are so busy with all the signs and the feelings, and we spiral into the deep ends without being able to disentangle.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen
Mm.
that like happening a lot. I mean, with me, it did. With me, it
Yep.
definitely did. Even my clients, I see that as well because we
Mm.
are always on that why. You
Mm.
know, being in this human body, of course, we want answers, we want the whys, but the whys sometimes take us into this real deep spiral. And then
Mm.
we are wondering, like, what else is there? But I
Mm.
guess most importantly, when we have something to guide us, it makes it easier in that sense.
Mm. Yep.
So then we don't waste time spiraling. Instead, we waste time working on it. I mean, not waste time. I mean, we do put that time working on it.
Mm. That's
Yeah.
very true. Yes. It's like you put the focus and the energy at the right place instead of
Right.
I think I personally experienced this for many years in my corporate job. Like I was working for a company for like 15 years before I resigned. So at some point it became very stagnant. Like I felt kind of like, what am I doing here? I was disillusioned by the industry. In the beginning, I was thinking that it was a very lofty industry, healthcare, medical, and things like that. But as I was engaging with customers and people more, I was reading more into
Mm.
the medical industry and the different darker sides of it. I recognize that it's probably not something so idealistic, and especially, of course, depending on the business model, right?
Yeah.
There are things that you think you are doing for people, but at the end of the day, most corporates are all about profits.
Yeah.
So, so then it became the question of like, what am I doing here? That kind of thing.
Mhm.
And at the same time, there was a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear of not fulfilling KPIs or not fulfilling tasks and things falling apart, for
Mm.
example, because of it's just cycles of business. And I was spiraling in that and just asking myself, like, how am I gonna get out of this? I wanted to leave the job, I wanted to look for something else and all of that. But at the same time, I also couldn't really pull myself to apply for something else because I just didn't know what was I meant to do.
Mm.
And until I started meditation, I started healing, and I started realizing that, oh, I want to be of service in some ways, and I want to go into this line of sharing with people what is the truth. Of course, truth changes every time
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
have
of course.
different realizations, but it's about sharing that. And I didn't get that in my previous job so much. So I kind of feel like, okay, if I were to stay there and I keep jumping from this job to another, just because my CV matches certain job descriptions, then I jump and then I hope that I'm
Yeah.
going to strike something. That's where we keep ourselves stuck in the same loop, because we call it
Absolutely.
the skin of, or the bottle may look different, but actually the content or the wine inside is still the same. That's a
Same.
Chinese
Yeah, yeah,
saying, I
yeah.
think. So yes.
I like what
Uh,
you just said there. To just add to that, right? You see, when we speak about moving away or when you're at the crossroads and you're feeling stuck, it is not necessarily physically resigning your job alone or
yeah.
physically leaving the environment alone. Sometimes it could be bringing an element into that job
Mm,
or bringing an element into that environment. That
yep.
could be the change that needs to be there in order for you to not feel that you're stuck. Okay? Because
Mm,
we are not saying that every time you feel that it's time for you to switch your job or it's time for you to move to another environment. No, that
yeah.
that is not really how it works. Yes, for some people that may seem to be the thing to do. Yeah,
Mm,
because we all have experienced it very differently.
yep.
But there are also some times where you don't need to literally leave the job, but maybe bring in an element into that job. Maybe
Yep.
this time you want to do it with more truth. Maybe you want to do it with more compassion. Maybe you want to do it with more flexibility,
Yep.
right?
That's
So,
true.
yeah, so
Mm,
being stuck in a crossroads does not always mean living it.
mm,
It could be adding some value into it or bringing something into it. So we want to also make sure we address that, just in case everybody thinks that, oh, okay, tomorrow I need to go and kind of, say bye-bye to my job and stuff like that.
yeah, exactly. That's where I normally would not advise my clients to quit their job or leave the relationship, divorce or anything,
Yeah, yeah,
because you do not know your decisions are coming from shadow, coming from karmic
exactly.
patterns, or is it really
Exactly.
wisdom making the decision, right?
Ex- I have
Yeah.
had this client who was in the verge of a breakup, right? Already went to arbitration and stuff like that. But after the reading, actually, they're still together till now. So
Mm,
so many
yeah,
things can happen. So sometimes it's not about living, it's about bringing an element or two into that in order for that to accelerate, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have clients like that, like wanting to leave the marriage or estranging the spouse, but um, things turn around just
Yeah, yeah.
because they look
So
at the relationship differently. But at the same time,
exactly.
I also have clients who actually divorce
Oh,
after the
yes, of
reading.
course. Yes, definitely. So that is
So
where this what we were speaking about exactly comes in. So when you're feeling stuck, it's not necessarily you really need to live. It's not like 100% the end result is about living.
yeah,
It's
mm,
always about understanding whether a change is needed or
yeah,
maybe it's time to bring in something into that environment, that relationship, that job, right?
yeah,
And biggest thing about this, I guess, is the awareness.
yep. And
Yeah.
that's where it ties back to what you said earlier about how soul contract helps us to see or to be aware of what's going on, what's playing up, and mirroring the stuckness, because we are not aligning with the
Yep.
gifts and the goals, but we are aligning more with the karmic imprints, with the patterns and stuff. For
Yep.
example, like for me, I've got 11-2 as a karmic imprint, and I tend to, back in those days, I tend to be unable to let go of the old
Mm.
structure or old ways of thinking. And I was kind of holding on to certain things quite quite long.
Yeah.
For
That's how
example,
with the
yeah,
11 twos, that's how it is always
yeah,
inability to let go of, because they are here to build their own structure of truth anyway. Yeah.
yeah. And I also have clients with, for example, 17-8, and the issue
Mm.
with 17-8 is about being an emotional slave to certain systems, certain ideologies, or to relationships. And I got a client who couldn't let go or couldn't um, sort of pivot his career, just because he was trying to rescue all of his employees, and
Ah,
um, his partners and things like that. And the moment he realized that pattern of emotional slavery, emotional attachment, and he could let go of that and he pivoted into a different business altogether, he became a lot more easeful and successful.
Yeah.
So that is just how being able to recognize the patterns that keep us stuck
Yeah. True. Like
is
you
gonna
mentioned
do
with the
wonders.
17,
Yeah.
yeah, with the 17-8, right? Exactly what you said just now, the emotional slavery can also make some people feel a disconnect,
Mm,
right? A disconnect with source, with themselves, and they don't understand why they are feeling that way because of that emotional slavery that they are experiencing,
yep.
right? So that
Mm,
disconnect could mm, make them feel like as though they are stuck in certain situation. They're not
yeah.
able to move forward. So I think the soul contract gives a very beautiful picture about how we can look at this without needing to spiral very deep inside. Because once you really spiral deep there, right?
Mm,
Not that easy to come out of it. Of course, yeah, we've got healing, we've got shadow work, we've got inner work, we've got all the tools and so
mm,
many different modalities. But when you are kind of too deep into it, then
mm,
it would be actually better to put that same time and effort working on those things instead of trying to find out or research what's really happening, right?
yeah. I think one thing that a lot of people, which I'm sure you also experience, a lot of people do is that they try and do certain things, they try and make changes, or they try to meditate or do certain inner work, but it may not be fully helpful because it doesn't, it takes a lot to actually be able to recognize what's really
Yeah,
going on
yeah,
because it
yes,
can be so hidden and so deep layers that are playing, and
yeah,
it can be very complex, the entanglement of the different patterns playing up together, and at every time, at every point, it's just different things playing up,
yeah.
and it can be very confusing for some
Yes,
people.
absolutely. Which reminds
Yeah.
me of a client which I just kind of had recently. And you
Mm,
know how this client had told me about all the things that she's been subscribing to, all the work and healing and things like that somehow don't seem to really hit it home or work. And that is when I actually mentioned to her, honestly, there's nothing wrong with that because it's not
mm,
something is wrong because everybody has got a beautiful modality. Everybody has got beautiful pieces of work to allow us
yep.
to actually accelerate in different ways. But the only reason perhaps why someone is not feeling it, there are a lot of shadows underneath, right? And there are a lot of
Mm,
questions underneath. So it's exactly like a house. So if that home doesn't have that foundation that it's needed, it's not going to be able to hold on to whatever it's on top very long. So same thing, we can subscribe to modalities, we can buy it offline, we can do free ones, we can do, and then we are
yeah.
wondering like, oh, it
There's so
feels, yeah,
many nowadays, right? Like
yeah, all
thousands.
correct.
And what happens is that it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something will stick. But actually, if it's not the right strategies or the right modality or the right tools, it may, I'm not saying that it may waste our time, but it may mm, make the journey of healing or of
Longer.
alignment very arduous, very long and tough.
One thing which I guess you have noticed, and definitely I've noticed this, is not one modality fits all, you
Yep,
know, because each of
definitely.
us are designed very differently.
Yeah.
Okay. The human part of us is so different. Some of us are good with auditory kind of things. Some of us are very good with visual stuff. Some of us are very good with emotions. So everything is kind of different. And that is where I think the choices also comes in, where we make the choices in order to come out of this and how do we work towards it. So it's not a matter about which modality you choose or whether something is working. I've prescribed and I've bought like God knows how many and nothing is working. All this is a
Yeah.
woo-woo on its own. But
Yep.
I think mostly it's because we tend to spiral sometimes too deep inside. And soul contract gives us that gift, I must say,
Mm,
not to
yeah.
go into that deep spiral. And then you're already kind of awake. Whoa, I see that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But okay, so I think whether you have soul contract or you don't, just for the purpose of disentanglement, I think there are pretty much simple tools that every one of us can immediately use in order to help us get unstuck. And the three steps that we often talk about starts with awareness, and then it's about making the choice. As we are aware, we can kind of like try to see, okay, am I going to turn left, turn right? Am I going to
True.
do A or do B? And the third thing is about taking micro action and building micro baby steps towards changes or towards alignment or however you want to call it. But I think that these are the three key components that it does not matter whether you use soul contract as a tool or you use something else as a tool, but it comes back to these basic steps, and we just stick with it and do it again and again, build a habit. Then definitely the trajectory will be shifted eventually, whether you have a new job or whether you you leave the relationship or you make big decisions in your life, or if not big decisions but smaller decisions, mid-range decisions and all of that, then you can actually align yourself back to fulfillment, to joy, as opposed to stuckness. But yeah, is there anything else that you have to say about these three little things that
I think my
the most
favorite
basic?
one is awareness.
Mm.
That is kind of my theme with every single one person I work with is awareness, because without that awareness, we are not going to be able to even make that choice or the actions. It's so important. And even while we are making those choices and the actions, we also want to bring in awareness every time.
Mm.
Because awareness is like the key main ingredients, like the salt to everything to spice it up. Because we need to be aware whether this choice that we are making is for our highest best, or is this tool that we are working with is not helping us. So it's not about just making the choice and taking the actions, but also bringing in awareness in all those actions as well. So my
Yep.
favorite piece is awareness, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, of course you can have different tools to become aware. Like some people do psychic reading,
Yep.
some people do astrology, tarot readings and stuff like that. And I know Gene Key is also a very profound modality to bring certain things up to the
Yeah.
awareness, or human design. And of course, we can also just use meditation when we are coming back to ourselves, our bodies, our emotion. We can start being aware of what's going on,
Yeah.
and over
True.
time that awareness is built to a
Builds
level
around it.
where you start having insights and understanding of what's going on and what's happening. Of course, it's a longer journey, and soul contract is a shortcut for sure. But I'm just saying that you don't have to subscribe to soul contract in order to be aware of what's going on in your life, in your mind and body. There's so many ways to become aware. But what we are trying to say is that it is the most important piece before
Yeah.
anything else can be
Yes. Agree.
worked on. And of course after that, then choice making is a conscious process. It's not just
Yeah.
about being driven and pulled by the old patterns anymore. And then the micro habit or micro action that we talk about as a third step is actually a sub step, because it's just awareness and choice. It's a
Exactly.
constant repeat of
Repeated
that,
cycle kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
rinse and repeat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, so there you go. We have the three very tangible baby steps to kind of take every time you're at a crossroad. Now, of course, we are not talking about making major decision or major choice right here, right now, when you suddenly become aware, like, okay, I'm bored or I'm restless and I'm looking at my feelings, it's not nice, my body is screaming, I'm sick, uh,
Yeah.
having all sorts of different signals. And then, okay, the next choice, I'm going to leave my job. Actually, there are multiple baby
Steps, yeah.
steps before you make that big choice in your life. And that can only come when you have accumulated enough data in order to really know what choice serves the highest and best good for you at that phase in your life. And along that way, then you would start having more guidance.
Yeah. It's just another muscle that you need to practice.
Yep.
So as you keep practicing that, you'll become more aware. And each of us have that ability to do that. Because I've also heard this, oh, I need to be intuitive enough, or I need to be psychic enough, or I need to have all this gifts. No, because actually each of us are very intuitive. Each of us are very psychic in our own way. And practice, and that allows that muscle to actually become stronger.
Yep.
Yeah.
And even if we make one wrong choice, so be it, you know. We just have to start again.
I have made wrong choices, definitely.
Technically, there is no wrong choice, right or wrong, good or bad, but it's just like not serving our highest and best.
Yeah, and then the experiences from that.
Yeah, we just learn again. Karmic pattern plays up, and we learn again. And so, so yeah. So I think that's pretty much what we have to share today, I guess. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think that is the main thing we want to address today, like the awareness, the choices, the micro actions would already help you where if you're stuck anywhere.
Yeah.
Whether it's a point where you feel like, oh, there's no answer, or there is an answer, but you're not sure. Definitely having the awareness, making the choices, and taking the micro actions would already lead the way. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you who are in Malaysia or in KL and would like to explore the workshop coming up in November around soul contract, but it's also around how to accelerate your path towards the next phase. If you're feeling stuck or you're feeling empty, reach out to us and we'll give you all the information. And of course, just to kind of come back to it, the reason why we're introducing this soul contract tool across all this inner work landscape is because you'll probably know more during the workshop if you join us, but it's going to help you clearly identify the patterns, the whys, and the what's happening. And then you can have a very laser focus inner work as you become more aware of it. And every number or every pattern you have, there is a specific strategy and toolkit for you to accelerate. And it's not a one size fits all. So contract is definitely a very custom made tool for everyone. So yes, we're excited to be hosting that, and we hope to see some of you there.
Yeah, exactly. Because that is going to be, if you are feeling stuck, trust me, you're going to walk away with some awareness on that day. That's for sure.
Yep. All right. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and we'll see you again next time.
Yeah, bye.
All right. Bye-bye.